Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon, and I'm Rusty Colmergan. I'm from General Dynamics Mission Systems, and I'm the only thing standing between you and a crescendoing finish to Defense Innovation Days. Our next speaker, Jimmy Smith, is going to be up here, and you're going to see a whole different kind of presentation approach here. You're going to see passion. You're going to feel a lot of energy here in the next few minutes. And I'm not going to do a traditional intro here. I'm going to just cut to a couple context things. Jimmy's perfect for the job. He might argue that, but if you look at what his background is, on page 20 of the brochure this week, you'll find that he has worked on the front lines with our service members. He's been shoulder to shoulder with them. In fact, a story he gave me just before lunch proves that out in person. He's been out there helping them get what they needed when they needed it. He's worked in the acquisition force. He knows what a traditional acquisition is. He knows what expedited acquisition is all about. He knows about OTAs. He knows all those things. But more than anything else, he understands that innovation comes from so many different sources, and a lot of it comes from the members that we have here, the small businesses that make up so much of SENEDIA. So he's going to focus on that. Another thing, when he's not doing his professional life, one of his personal passions is student outreach. And you'll see that in his bio too. Now, I was caught by the fact that he's doing STEM outreach in grade schools. And I was pretty impressed by that at first, and then I did some more research, and I found out that he's actually doing early identification of talent that he can pull together in a robotics team when they finally get to middle school and take on the national championship. So I think there's a cover story there. But with that, over to you, sir.
All right, folks, thank you. And like was mentioned, I understand this is the last presentation that you guys are having before you bug out of here. It ought to be fun. It ought to be fun. You actually just missed half the presentation. All of those videos and movies that were shown earlier, that was part of the brief. So you're halfway done. You were all watching it. You all watching it? Okay. If you weren't getting along with your table mates, you could have watched the video. And if you're an introvert and people don't talk to you. But Jimmy Smith again, Department of the Navy, Director, Office of Small Business Programs. Just to go back about 3 years, this is actually a job that I didn't ask for. This was a job that I was directed into, and I was told I was the best person for the job. I'm like, sounds like a job I should run away from, was what I was thinking. And to tell you the truth, the past 3 years have been exceptional. Working with our industry partners to provide that connective tissue between you have stuff or you have services and we have people who need stuff and who need services, and to connect you, build those relationships, let contracts flow, let money flow, get you in to do the work, and you continue to be a part of the industrial base that supports our warfighters has been tremendously rewarding. So thank you for everything that you do in support of the defense of this nation, and I highly encourage you to do more. I've got some programs that I'm going to talk about in this brief that open you up to some opportunities that you can have that maybe you didn't know about, like the Mentor Protege program. So we'll talk to that. Just by a show of hands real quickly here, small businesses in the room that don't have contracts with Navy. All right. So I'm gonna spend my time down here talking to these folks. I like you, but I want to get to know them. Okay. So my office provides that connective tissue. We're here to assist you in being able to do business with the Department of the Navy, the Department of Defense, and I wear a collateral duty hat that I'll talk about here real briefly because it's almost over. I actually get to be the head small business guy for the entire federal government this fiscal year. I've got 87 federal agencies that have equivalents like me that I'm the leader of. So if you want to get into Homeland Security, you want to get into FAA, Department of Transportation, you want to get into FBI, some of those other three-letter organizations, Smithsonian, any of the 87 federal agencies, I can connect you to those small business professionals that work those organizations so that you can look for opportunities there as well. Okay? So just because you stuck around I am letting you know that I am not just small business guy for Navy/DOD in the capacity of that collateral duty job. I am leading the entire federal government small business directors across the government. So again, you want to touch anybody in those arenas? Let me know, I'll connect you to them. NASA, oh my gosh. NASA is doing some things that are putting DOD to shame right now. Did y'all hear about their going back to the moon? The entire country is going to get excited about going back to the moon. So the reason I'm infiltrating the grade schools with STEM right now to try to convince those kids to come work for Navy, DOD in the future is because NASA's going to swoop in and take folks like nobody's business. And if I'm not priming the pump to kind of get some hearts and minds convinced now that you need to come work on our side, I'm going to miss that opportunity. But I talked to some folks over at NASA. I want to be an astronaut again. The plan would be to set up a base on the moon so you could leave from the moon to go to Mars. How cool is that? Not just leave from the Earth and then hang out at the moon for a few months, and then go from the moon to Mars. And have a way station, just like you go down your highways, gas station over here, food over there, water over there, on your way back and forth to these places. They have a phenomenal plan, and I can't compete right now, so I'm trying to convince some small children to come to work for the Navy in my STEM pursuits. Okay, but let's talk about small business. All right, we are absolutely in the business of providing capability to the warfighter, and small businesses provide that utility. You absolutely do. Some of our larger industry partners, they do it as well, but the speed and relevance of which you operate is unmatched. We need you to do more. We need you to provide capability. So let's do more business, and I'm going to show you how to get there. First, you need to understand from my new counterparts here that haven't joined us yet, how is the Navy arranged? We have 10 major buying commands that make up the Department of the Navy. They're all depicted up on the slide with the logos that are seen here. And I'll touch each one to give you an idea of what each one of those 10 major buying commands does and the needs and customers and support that they're looking for. Okay, so 10 major buying commands. First on the list, United States Marine Corps Installation and Logistics Command. Everything that the Marines need from an infrastructure support standpoint, barracks, roads, construction, demolition, all of those things to take care of Marines in that capacity within the US and abroad gets contracted out through Marine Corps INL. Headquartered Washington, DC, they take care of infrastructure. Next on the list, US Marine Corps Systems Command. Everything that a Marine needs to go off into harm's way, fight, come back to their families, comes out of the Marine Corps Systems Command. Helmets, boots, vehicles, armor, weapons, everything that a Marine needs to go off into harm's way. Marine Corps Systems Command, Quantico, Virginia. Quick story. I told this to one other counterpart here. I went down to Quantico for a program review. And they have this office called a Joint Non-Lethal Program Office. And Marines that don't kill people, I just couldn't believe this. What do Marines that don't kill people do? Joint Non-Lethal Program Office. So the laser dazzler, green light makes you nauseous if you look at it too long, that spray that makes your eyes water, and the taser, tools that they use out in this command. So as I'm doing a program review, I said, hey, any tasers in the office? Said, yes, sir, we got a few tasers here in the office. Could you charge one of them up? I want to go for a ride. It was like, wait a second, we don't typically tase the SCSs when they come down for program reviews, but I want to take a ride. I want to see what this experience is all about. I've seen it, but I don't get it, right? This Air Force captain was really excited. She ran off to charge this taser. And the program manager, colonel, '06. He stood about 6'6", 1% body fat, just a man, just walking. He said, "Sir, I've never done it before, and you're not going to do it before me." I said, "Marine, stand down. I want to do this." And he was like, "You're not doing it in front of all of my folks if I haven't done it, so I'm going to do it first." Okay. He was bigger than me, and I didn't want to take him on that day. So I braced up one arm, Sergeant braced up the other arm, and that Air Force captain put an alligator clip here and an alligator clip on his belt, and she hit him with 750 volts. And this mountain of a man said, "Turn it off!" And then it was my turn. I was like, "I don't want to do this." I saw enough. But, manned up. They hooked me up and everything, and I'm like, "Oh, all right, light up. 3, 2, 1, bam! Changed my life." I stayed in it for the entire 7-second ride. I was not going to give up because all of this was on video, and you weren't going to talk about me later because of it. But a couple days later, walking past the Commandant of the Marine Corps' office, "Jimmy, what have you been doing for the Corps?" "Sir, I earned my money today, I'm going home." "I do have a problem though. Some of your Marines treated me rather rudely a couple days ago." He said, "I need names, I need rank, because they're going to get kicked out of the Corps. Because they treated you rudely, of all people?" "Yes, sir, let me show you what they did to me." Pulled out my phone, and he's like, "Why are they bracing you up like that? What's getting ready to happen? What's taser? Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my God." And he was hurt by it. I was hurt still by it. He's like, "You're not as smart as I thought you were. You let them hook you up to that thing, and you..." Yes, capability. Folks, everybody in the room should try it. We're going to line you up after I get done. Bring them in. Just bring in the tasers. Just kidding. But everything that they use, everything they need out of that one particular command. Next on the list, Military Sealift Command. We actually have a chartered fleet. We have chartered ships and we have U.S. Navy ships that basically provide sea lift support to our active warfighting ships. So when we need gas, we don't necessarily have to pull into port to get gas. A refueler could come up alongside of a DDG or an aircraft carrier, and they run lines across one another and provide fuel. They bring mail, they take away trash, they bring food, an entire chartered service that we use as a part of Military Sealift Command. So if you're interested in that body of work, they're the activity to go see. We do helicopter ferry back and forth between ships, and we also pass, just like you see in the picture, we run lines before ships to pass those goods and services off. Spare parts, food, everything you need, we can replenish the ships at sea, keep them forward deployed. Military Sealift Command is headquartered in Norfolk, Virginia, just so you know. Next on the list, Naval Air Systems Command. Everything that flies in the Navy comes out of Nav Air. Headquartered, Pax River, Maryland. Fixed wing, rotary wing, drones, you name it, everything flies. And if you're interested in that body of work, Nav Air is the activity for you. Next on the list is the Naval Facilities Engineering Command. This is the Navy infrastructure. So bases, barracks, housing, the grass at the base needs to be cut. Everything that goes along with supporting our military forces, foreign soil and here within the United States, NAVFAC's the activity for that. So construction, demolition, new buildings, furniture, everything to support us, NAVFAC. Next on the list, where I primarily grew up, Naval Sea Systems Command. This is the life cycle support of our ships, submarines, aircraft carriers, and those programs of the like. So the capital assets, design through disposal. Next on the list, NAVSUP. This is basically our Walmart, Super Walmart, Amazon consumables we need to buy. If they're Navy-specific consumables, NAVSUP provides that capability worldwide, transportation services, logistics, spare parts, maintenance, overhaul of components. They're the activity for that body of work. Next on the list, NavWar, IT systems afloat and ashore. All of that cyber you heard today, IT related. NavWar, headquartered San Diego, California. Great weather, great place to be. Next, the Office of Naval Research. Admiral Selby was here earlier. He's one of my major buying commands. They contribute a great deal to discovery and invention, research and development, science and technology. And if you're interested in that body of work, that's the activity that you want to align yourself to. And last but not least is the Strategic Systems Program. This is the high-end nuclear deterrent that we have in the Navy. Trident D5 missile and everything associated with that weapon system, life cycle support, end-to-end. That's the 10th of our 10 major buying commands. So hopefully you see what you do aligned to what these organizations offer, because they're the only ones with money. They're the only ones with contracts. I don't have any money. I know where all of it is. I don't have any contracts. I get to review their contracts before they put them out. And if something goes wrong that you don't like about them, you call me and I can go help influence maybe the outcome of that proposal before it goes final. But we're here supporting these activities because they're supporting the warfighter. Now, what you need to do is search what the Don buys if you want to do business with us. Know what we buy. NICS codes are very important. And understand your customer. My office can actually help you get to that program manager or that contracting officer who owns that body of work that they're interested in having done. Okay? Contact the small business professionals to give you that face-to-face engagement opportunity. It can be virtual, it can be in person in many cases, but let us help you get to those people you need in order to talk to and help foster an opportunity to go forward. Small business professionals, here's where they're all located. For some reason, the Navy only hangs around the edges of the country, but probably because there's just water everywhere, right? But every single one of those small business professionals from those organizations are there to assist you in making that connectivity happen. You can go to my website, click on each one of these icons. You can actually pull up who that small business professional is. Email contact information, phone number, you can engage them directly. Or you can call my office and we can help you get to them. Small business performance. Let me tell you how well we've been doing. Currently, FY22, I have a goal of 17.10%. That first circle I have to achieve by the end of the fiscal year, 30 September. We're currently above goal for our overall Navy performance. 17.19% of our money is currently going to small businesses serving as primes. No credit for small businesses that serve as subcontractors to other industry partners. That larger industry partner gets credit. Okay, as you can see in the upper left, 65.87 billion have gone to other than small businesses currently this fiscal year. 13.59 billion have gone to small businesses serving as prime contractors. That's what makes up that 17.19%. The Small Business Administration measures the Department of Defense in those four other categories: small disadvantaged businesses, service disabled veteran-owned businesses, women-owned, and hub zone. As you can see, small disadvantaged businesses, I don't think I'm going to make that goal this year. Don't think we're going to make it. President Biden has actually increased the small disadvantaged business goal every year out to 2025 as a result of Executive Order 13985. our contribution to what Navy contributes to Army, to Air Force, to the Fourth Estate, I don't think we're going to make our small disadvantaged business go. So, opportunity for small disadvantaged businesses? Absolutely. If you're in that category and you're selling or providing services that we need or products, we absolutely can do set-asides if there's more than 2 companies, at least 2. But that particular area, I'm worried greatly about. Service disabled veteran owned, we're in the green for right now. Women owned, my second concern. I am hedging on whether we're going to make our women owned small business goal this year. Problem. Hub zone, we're doing pretty well. And you can see the breakout across the top of where we're spending our money when it comes to small businesses. Knowledge-based services, facilities, electronics, and R&D. Last year, we were all green across the boards last year. This fiscal year, we were awarded the Vanguard Award for small business performance across all of DoD. We beat out every other service and the Fourth Estate for what we did in FY21. We overachieved by a great deal. Happy about that. My performance rating kind of went through the roof, and I may get a reward for it, I don't know. But this year, we're in a bit of extremis. Where there are problems, there are opportunities for small businesses. This is a little complicated of a chart, but I'll walk you through it here. In FY19, $16.16 billion went to small businesses serving as primes, and you can see that's 18.49% of our budget at the time. The problem I have as you move to the right is what's in the green and red. We had 2,121 new small business enter doing business with the Don that fiscal year. But I had 1,000 leave. 1,000 industry partners walked away from doing business with us. And for whatever reason, they're gone. My industrial base is declining in a dramatic fashion. Move over to FY20. $17.4 billion went to small businesses serving as primes, and there's some examples of work that was done by those small businesses in the pictures there. But again, we're meeting our goals, we're spending money in a fashion that achieves the metrics that are outlined for us, but moving over to that FY21, we're still watching a pretty noticeable and sizable decrease of industry partners working in our areas. In certain portfolio areas, we've seen a decline of 40% and even 60% of the industry partners that used to be there aren't there anymore. In one extreme example, last fiscal year, we actually had to go back to the OEM to get them to reconstitute a production line of something that they stopped doing 13 years ago. Guess what we paid for that? A lot. A lot more than we were spending on small businesses. But guess what? We're not going to let the warfighter down. We're going to give them everything they need, and we paid through the nose for it. But where there's a decline, there's an opportunity if you want to do business with us in some of these key areas. And you can contact me. I will absolutely lay out, here are my pain points. Here are the areas where I'm experiencing the most pain. If there's no competition, guess what? Prices go up for some reason. And I'm held hostage to a lack of participation in these arenas. So again, we're spending relatively the same amount of money every fiscal year. Money's going out the door. It's a matter of who I'm spending it on. A few, or am I spending it on many? Okay, help me solve my problems. Small business advocacy. Let me show you how we've been doing over time. So orange line represents the goal. As you can see, since FY16, we've been on or exceeded our goals when it comes to small business performance for the Department of the Navy. Back in 2016, Mr. Stackley wrote a memo that basically made every deputy program manager for every program in the Navy and Marine Corps the small business advocate for their program. It's not Jimmy Smith and his team running around saying, do more business with small business. The deputy program managers have the responsibility, and in their performance objectives, to do right by small businesses as they're creating the acquisition strategies to run their programs. Okay, so you have advocacy built into the program, and you not just have this coalition of small business folks out beating that drum. Secretary of the Navy this year said, you know what? I want that memo refreshed, and I want the responsibility laid on even heavier for the Department of the Navy. So now we're bringing in SESs that are responsible for the program executive officers and who are responsible for the programs now have it in their performance objectives. So the boss got serious on me. Jimmy, go write me a letter to hold more people accountable to being small business advocates. Absolutely, sir, I can do that all day long. More people helping me do my job? Great. I kind of like pull the pin out, roll it in the room in some of these offices, close the door, deal with it. Secretary said so. You're not getting resistance. People want to do more. We had a comment earlier about bundling. Oh, we've had some drag out fights about bundling. Absolutely. Karen, we've had some fights. Well, if I don't bundle, we're going to have more transactions, more contracts to award. Secretary of the Navy said, you need more contracting officers? Tell me how many more you need. How many major buying commands came back with an increase in numbers for contracting officers? How many? I heard all of them? None of them. Not one single major buying command took him up on, if you need more contracting officers, tell me how many more you need. So was that no one wanted to be first? Or was that we truly don't need anyone to help us do the additional work that he's calling to be done? Don't know, don't care. Pull the pin out, throw it in the room, deal with it. We have to do more. Giving small business an opportunity to compete for this work is what's supposed to be first, not bundle first and whatever falls out can go to small businesses. The law actually requires it the other way around. Small businesses first. Executive Order 13985. President Biden put out this executive order. As I mentioned, he increased the small disadvantaged business goal from 11% to 15% by 2025. This is affecting the entire federal government. Small disadvantaged businesses got a leg up because of this. Do you think the women-owned small businesses complained when this came out? Service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses complained when this came out? Yeah, they did. Because we aren't taking from them to make room for small disadvantaged businesses. The only way DOD can achieve the goals that have been set for us within DOD is to take work from larger industry partners and break it apart so that small businesses can have an opportunity to compete for that work. Large businesses are knocking my door down right now. What do you mean you're going to start taking work away from me? I got an executive order that said so. Boss said to go do it. We're challenging the paradigms of what we've always dealt with. Okay? Increase more small business participation. Our defense industrial base, as I showed you, is suffering because of it, of not doing as much. So, he's gone, right? Second half's gone? He on the plane? He back? He had a 1 o'clock meeting? What time is it? Quarter of. So you can't even give him a direct feed right now. Got it. Since he's been on board, he literally has been the best boss I've ever had. He called me into his office to understand how was the Navy doing in small business the first week he was on the job. I was on the list to brief him on what I'm doing, but it wasn't in the first week. He called me in. I came in with my PowerPoint presentation. Jimmy, how we doing with small business performance? Well, sir, let me show you. You're not doing that well. Let me put this brief away then. and I proceeded to take notes. As a small business owner, he endured many scars that you will see up here reflected on things that we're doing to kind of prevent another small business from having to endure. There's some large industry partners that he was partnered with as a business partner that I don't think want to come visit him now that he's the Secretary of the Navy, because they didn't treat him nice. And I heard those stories about how some of these large industry partners don't treat small businesses nice, don't honor agreements. So first on the list, hosting SecNav roundtables. Everywhere SecNav goes within the United States, there's a small business roundtable conducted the day before he does his official business for why he's there in that town. Real story. He wanted to go down and see Marine recruits turn into Marines down at Parris Island. Jimmy, going to Parris Island, want to do a small business roundtable. Beaufort, South Carolina, sir? Really? Yeah. So every industry partner that has a contract with the Navy within 100 miles of Beaufort, South Carolina, got an invitation to come talk to the Secretary of the Navy at the old club the night before Marine recruits became Marines. We had probably 60 people in the room, CEOs of these companies, owners of companies. They came to the room. Program managers, if you're within that 100-mile radius, you come too. Contracting officers, if you're within that 100-mile radius, you come too. We had about 70 people in the room that night. And I did the workup for all of the companies that were coming, understood where some may have some gripes against the Navy and the work that they're doing, and I'm doing push-ups in advance of getting in there. I briefed the Secretary on, here are the companies that are showing up, here are some of the axes that they may want to grind with you, but he said, okay, I got it from here. Well, what do you mean you got it from here, sir? I got it from here. He talked to folks for 2.5, 3 hours that night. He answered every single question. I sat in the back going, I wasted all that time doing all those push-ups because he's answering all of the questions. He answered it from an industry perspective, uniform military perspective, and the Secretary of the Navy perspective when he would address questions and issues that folks had from the audience. I felt pretty good. My boss is taking all the shots. Jimmy, you got that action, right? Oh, hell, I'm back to doing work again. And for every action I take, there is follow-up that goes through him back to that constituent that had that issue, had that problem. So I'm still working. I'm traveling on a plane, but I'm still working. And it's pretty refreshing to let your boss address folks, and you get real. And some companies have some serious problems, some serious issues, and he takes them on head on. I don't know many secretaries that do that. Executive offsites. July 13th this year, he had every single 2-star and 3-star owns those major buying commands come to Washington, D.C. to the Washington Navy Yard. And he sat down with all of them. And he said, what don't you understand about meeting your small business goals that you've been assigned this year? Because overall, the Navy has goals. Each one of those major buying commands gets their own individual goals that I assign to them in all of those socioeconomic categories. Here's the fun part. Out of the 10 major buying commands that end up in the top 3 at the end of the fiscal year, you get to go to the Secretary of the Navy's office and have cake or donuts or something. I don't know. I was told I was invited, but I don't think I get to eat because I'm not actually performing. They are. But he wants them to come have a party. The bottom 3 out of the 10 major buying commands that don't perform to meet their goals and objectives, there's a different party. You know that casing that you use to make hot dogs and sausage? I think skin is going to be pulled off of these 2 stars and 3 stars to make that casing that creates the hot dogs and sausages at that particular meeting. They all know this. So how many people do you think are striving to not be in the top 3? Everybody's trying to get there. The bottom three, you do not want to be in the bottom three. He's actually already called the meeting in October. Bottom three, come visit me. And it's not so much to dwell on the past about what happened, it is what it is. But you're going to tell me what you're going to do in FY22 in October to make sure that you meet your FY22 goals. I'm going to that meeting. I want to see how sausage is made. That casing has always intrigued me. How does it hold the meat in? The skin. It's skin ripped off of 2-star and 3-star admirals and generals. It's going to be exciting. Large business engagements. Up until recently, the Secretary of the Navy had not met with any of our large industry partners at like the CEO, his peer kind of level. He would only meet with small businesses. And we would parade small businesses in to see them, whole 9 yards, get them all worked up. Loved it, loved it, loved it. All right, I was meeting with small businesses. I want to understand how you're treating your small businesses by way of your subcontracting plans. For every contract the Navy has with our large industry partners, I bring in a report to that large industry partner and I show them. You told the Navy you were going to do a work share agreement with your subs at the, let's just say 30% level for this particular contract. Here's how you're actually performing. It's a single digit number. It's nowhere close to 30%. What's going on? Well, no one's holding me accountable to work share agreements. Your CEO is going to go see my Secretary of the Navy and I'm giving him this data about how your company is performing and treating their small businesses. Oh, and oh, by the way, he was treated pretty bad by some large industry partners when he was a small business owner. So, and I keep telling him, I say, you can't take your old job and bring it into this new job. I'm gonna call the lawyers on you. He said, I got an excuse now. So, we're meeting with our large industry partners. We're calibrating them on the fact that we're watching how well you're doing or not doing in your subcontracting performance. And I don't care if it's a small business or not. It's subcontracting performance that I care about. You said you were going to do X. Are you doing X or are you doing something different? And we're holding them accountable. Our head of contracts and our head lawyer have gotten energized because of this. They said, hey, we need to put some incentives in our contract to incentivize these primes to honor their work share agreements. Okay, throw money at them. That's a good incentive. What happens if they don't honor the work share agreement and they just miss out on the incentive? Oh, we should put some penalties in the contracts too, some withholds. I'm like, oh, lawyers and head of contracts are getting serious now. Next year, this starting in FY23, we got 5 contracts that we've picked that we're going to put incentives in for meeting your subcontracting compliance. And we're also putting withholds in those contracts. And we're working with the industry partner to let them know right up front. This is something that we're serious about. We're putting money where our mouth is, and we want your behavior to change because your past performance is abysmal. And it hurts me to my heart that I got to incentivize folks to meet their contract requirements, right? That just hurts. We're going to do it. Don't mess up. Do not mess up. Next on the list, AMA, and I'm not going to step through all of these. Ask Me Anything webinars. Twice a month, I do an Ask Me Anything webinar, and it's not just Jimmy Smith waiting for you to ask me questions. I bring in subject matter experts. If you want to know about facilities clearance, I bring folks in from DISCA. If you want to know about whatever you want to know about in advance, we can get those folks to participate in our webinar. So we have these, they're free. We actually record them. They're on our YouTube channel. You can review them at your leisure anytime you want. Here to help, here to make sense. Next one on the list, Navy Audit Service, conducting subcontracting audits. My first 3 weeks on the job, I had 8 small business industry partners come see me and none of them were happy. And they weren't coordinated. It was the prime that I'm working for isn't honoring the subcontracting agreement. No, Don. Navy Audit Service. Have we ever dealt with the Navy Audit Service before? Never fun. I walked across the Washington Navy Yard over to the Navy Audit Service, and I said, there's a problem. I think I want to put the Navy Audit Service on the contracting community to figure out what's going on in the area of subcontracting. Walked over, knocked on their door, they let me in. I'm talking to the executive director there. And the executive director started making phone calls during my conversation. Like, who are you calling? I'm calling some of my folks, they need to hear this. Within 15 minutes, there were about 8 people in his office, and they're salivating at the fact that somebody brought them something to go investigate. Now, for nearly 28 years, every time they came to see me, I was like, there's nothing to see here, get the hell out of my office, I got work to do. This time, I went to go see them, and I brought them fresh meat, and it was like filet. It's filet mignon. It is prime cut, and they're licking their chops. We're gonna eat good, we're gonna do this investigation. After I left the Navy Audit Service, I called Cindy Shaver. She's the head of contracts for the Navy. And I was like, hey, Cindy, I'm just leaving Navy Audit Service. She's like, what the hell are you doing over there? I said, I just told them about a problem that I'm having, and I think it affects your community. She was like, well, I wish you had called me first before you went over there, but have them go look at NAVC first. I was like, that's where I grew up. That's where she was the previous head of contracts as well. Go look over there, start there. Navy Audit Service, looking at all 10 major buying commands for how do our contracting officers behave? What's their track record, their history? You know, am I more prone to award to small businesses or not? Large primes or not? They're doing this assessment. And it's kind of scary what they're coming up with, but we're addressing problems at the root cause. We're gonna look at you and we're gonna tell you how you look. And if it's not good, it's your own fault, go fix yourself. All right, so last one on here that I'll talk about is this long-range acquisition forecast. Federal entities are required to have a long-range acquisition forecast, and across the Department of the Navy, NAVWAR has the best long-range acquisition forecast. SAM.gov, everybody familiar with SAM.gov, or what used to be called Beta SAM? That gives you a 30-day head start on solicitations that are coming out for the most part. Our long-range forecasts go out 5 and even 6 years. So you can have visibility into those solicitations that we plan on putting out across the entire Department of the Navy. First time we put our long-range acquisition forecast together, I had 87 Excel spreadsheet pages of solicitations at the 5 font level. 87, and this is just the unclassified work. Classified, I can't even talk about in this room. That's the body of work we plan on awarding across multiple years in the fiscal year. You can actually see what the work is, the acquisition strategy, maybe we want to do a women-owned small business on this thing, set aside whatever the ceiling, who the incumbent currently is. You can have all of this visibility into our long-range acquisition forecast, and NAVWAR had the best. An independent entity that scores long-range acquisition forecasts for the entire federal government has NAVWAR in this past fiscal year. NAVWAR was ranked number 3 out of every agency across the federal government. So a command within our organization is beating agencies at what they're doing with providing transparency. So, Jimmy Smith, not that smart, but I can replicate and rip off things that are great ideas. What NAVWAR is doing by way of their long acquisition forecast template has now been given to every single major buying command for the Navy. We all now have that template, and we're using it to provide the transparency you need to know the body of work that we're going to be putting out by way of solicitations. So NAVWAR is great. I want the Department of the Navy to be recognized as the top entity within an agency being recognized for their long-range acquisition forecast. But complete transparency, folks. I have nothing to hide other than the classified work. Okay. I'm wrapping up here, getting down to business. To our industry partners that have never done business with me, Go visit my website. There's an 8-step process on how to become procurement ready for doing business with the Navy. That little video off to the right-hand side, that QR code, all that stuff works. The video walks you step by step how to become procurement ready. And it's not just for the Navy, it's for the entire federal government. It actually works. Caution. Follow these steps deliberately. Step 3 builds on step 2. If you shortcut step 2, you're not going to have information you need in order to do step 5 or 6 later on in the document. So be very deliberate in following these steps in order to become procurement ready. Okay? Showing you how to fish here. Market research, stuff we care about from a market research standpoint, how to position your company with capability statements, give me information that I need that's relevant. Another video, I'm teaching you how to fish. QR code works. We're good? I saw phones going up, everybody down, everybody down. All right, visit my website to go see my long-range acquisition forecast. This animation walks you through what you're gonna see. There's my webpage. You go to Doing Business with the Don. Click on that, Doing Business with the Don. Go to whichever major buying command you want to do business with. Pick one. They pick Marine Corps. There's one of those spreadsheets with the solicitations. It's just that easy. You can search by NAICS code. You can search the entire database by NAICS code. Download all of the spreadsheets. Review them at your leisure. The commands update their long-range acquisition forecast on different periodicities. Some do it every 60 days, some do it every 90 days, depending on their cycle. Information's relevant and updated on a pretty frequent basis. But as you can see, there's so much information about what we're doing, what we plan to do, and how you can position yourself to either go after the job itself, maybe align with the prime because you think that incumbent may win again. Use this from a strategic advantage standpoint to go figure out what you want to bid on or who you want to go partner with. Okay? Long range acquisition forecast. Mentor Protege program. This program is set up for large industry partners to help small businesses become that viable entity that they need to be. We, the Department of Defense, are willing to spend $2 million over a 2-year period on that prime, that large industry partner, to help that small business. So I'm going to give the large industry partner up to $2 million over a 2-year period to help the small business become that viable entity that it needs to be. And it can be anything. I have to reimburse them for the money that they're spending on making you viable. So if you need certifications, you need a new piece of equipment, whatever gets in under that $2 million, we can pay them to help you be that entity. And I want you to be in a position where you can prime for work, but I also want you to be in a position where you can be a supplier to that larger industry partner, if that's your business construct. This is a contractual arrangement, 3-way, 2 industry partners and the Navy. We get it, and I mean, you actually get a DCMA contracting officer to oversee the contract to make sure you're getting all of the good things out of it that that larger industry partner is promising you, and we reimburse them of the cost. It's 2 years, $2 million. I can go get an extension for 3 years, $3 million, if the effort warrants that kind of attention. OSD is holding this program as sort of a fair share arrangement. Air Force currently has 19 mentor protege agreements. Army, 17. Navy, 2. I'm trying to give away money and y'all not showing up. So I'm not doing my part for the fair share. I highly encourage industry partners that want to be there to help another entity become that viable force that they need to be, and help me get my fair share out of the trough here. All right, wrapping up. Things are going to come close. All right, Admiral Selby talked this morning about SBIR program. One stat that I wanted to show you guys: over $800 million spent on Phase 3 contract awards in FY21. So that Valley of Death, 200 phase 3 awards made it across that valley of death this past fiscal year to the tune of $800 million. So now they got data rights, 20 years for that product to be sold to the Navy. They can license it to others to be built, but they got data rights to that product for 20 years by getting to phase 3. All right, get connected. My entire career, I had to stay behind the scenes, working black programs, classified stuff, get in this job. They're like, get out there, let the public know you, let's be your face and be the Navy and to small businesses. You want to reach me? No, it's not me personally. I got people who work for me to do this. But Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, the whole 9 yards, we're fully connected. Our social media presence is huge. That subscribe to me now button down at the bottom, when you go to our website, you can actually get an email, and I'm not going to spam you to death with emails, but every time there's something that we're doing that may be of interest to you, you're going to get an email. Hey, we're talking about facilities clearance. Hey, we're talking about, NAVSUP just issued another update to their long-range acquisition forecast. You can subscribe to our mailing list, and we will give you pertinent information, relevant information to keep you informed about things we're doing. Upcoming webinars, visits, travel, where the next SecNav visit to some small town like Beaufort, South Carolina is going to be. You can get those updates, okay? YouTube channel, everything we do, for the most part is recorded. So if you ever want to go back and look at something we've done, glean that information at your leisure, rewind it, play it again, you're welcome to that information. But social media presence, and unlike, how many people use Teams? Teams? Yeah, I don't use Teams. I use Zoom. I got Zoom for government because I got to interface with the public. Because if you don't have a CAC, you can't get on my team. So I got permission for the next 12 years to use Zoom Gov to do the work I need to do to reach the public. So we're not presenting any barriers for us to do business with one another. Shameless plug, next week. It still says registration's open. I would question that because our event's next week. But Navy Gold Coast, this is the largest small business procurement event that we do every year in San Diego Convention Center. Typically, when we do it in person, 2,800 industry partners, government, and folks are there. Matchmaking is done at a magnificent level at this event. Industry to industry, industry to government, and I, because of the first collateral duty job that I mentioned to you all, I think I've got about 30 different agencies from across the government coming to Navy Gold Coast. So Homeland Security is going to be there, FAA is going to be there, State Department's going to be there, because they're interested in doing business with people who are interested in doing business with us. And I say we got the best. So they're coming to check me out to figure out whether that's actually accurate or not. But through NDIA, we work to pull that event off every year, and it's going to be pretty spectacular. All right, one other thing I wanted to throw in here, Navy Weeks. As you all know, hopefully, the Navy goes around and visits different cities in the country every year. Typically, ships and submarines show up in port, sailors and Marines are out walking the city, and you're all buying them coffee and donuts and alcohol at the clubs later on that night. When they show up in your town, small business professionals show up in your town as well. We'll get a hotel ballroom like the room we're in today, or maybe a civic center or even library. And we'll say, hey, while you're out there taking care of the donuts and the alcohol for the sailors and Marines, if you want to learn about doing business with the Department of the Navy, we're going to be in your hometown. So come by and see us. We can show you what we are doing and how to get closer to doing business with us on a more personal level. We deal with the PTACs in this regard. We love our PTACs. I think we had a couple of PTACs in the room earlier. I'm not sure if they're still around. But our PTACs are critical to pulling these events off at the local level. All right, wrapping up. Sea Aerospace coming up in April, another big event that we do. And you want to email me? Every 24 hours, we drain every email that goes in that inbox, and we dispatch the, responses accordingly. And I even gave you a phone number. I don't think any other presenter has given you a phone number. since they've been here, right? But you can reach us. We're here to help you be successful in order to do business with us. And with that, I think I'm done. I went the wrong way. Yep. Questions? I'm standing by. It was too comprehensive, wasn't it? I get it. Have a good day.
There we go.
Fire away. Dennis, you were first. Fire away.
Okay, well, welcome back to Newport, sir.
Thank
Good to
you.
see you here.
I'm looking forward to lobster right after we get done here. I'm going to find some lobster.
All right.
Just holding me up.
One of the objectives of the Small Business Administration is to turn small businesses into bigger businesses.
Yes.
The barrier from going to small business to medium-sized business is a pretty steep hill.
Absolutely.
At a previous conference that you spoke at, you sort of implied that some of our MACs are going to change their approach
Yes.
to maybe lessen that hill a little bit. So I
Yep.
was just wondering if you could expound on that.
So, driven by the Secretary of the Navy, yes, I am the Small Business Director for the Department of the Navy, but I actually care about all industry partners, I was told. My position description didn't change, but I was told I care about all business partners. There's a no man's land when it comes to medium-sized businesses. Can't do what the small businesses can, you can't quite get to where the large businesses are, and you're in this no man's land for medium-sized businesses. So we have some MACs that are coming up for renewal, and we're insisting as you create the acquisition strategy for those documents, you don't create barriers for medium-sized businesses, that everyone's included in the continuum of doing business with us. So I don't get to write the acquisition strategy. I get to review the product before it goes out. Probably when you see a draft RFP come out, that's kind of when I see it, maybe a couple of days ahead of time. If you have issues, please voice them. My office is a catcher for any issues you have with draft solicitations that come out. You can contact the contracting officer. They always say email the contracting officer, phone call, whatever. I call you back, I email you back, and I probably can get in with the opportunity to fix your problem a lot easier than you hoping someone heard you on the other side. So the answer is yes, we're instructed, we're guided to do more for all businesses. But Small Business Administration isn't measuring me for medium-sized businesses. How much of this do you think I'm doing because somebody's measuring me? 0. Folks, guess what? And what time is it, Don?
1:15.
Okay, so he's still in that meeting. Nothing bad happens to me if we don't meet our metrics. Nothing. Because, they're goals. They're not requirements. I found that out the 3rd day of the job, and I was like, whoa, I got a job I ain't never had to worry about meeting the requirements for. These are goals. And again, we contribute to what Army and Air Force and the 4th Estate contribute to as a DOD goal. So I'm all about taking care of those who are going into harm's way and those supporting people going into harm's way. I can care less about the metrics. But giving everybody a fair opportunity to compete, that's when we win. And that's what I want. And trust me, Max, I think Seaport is probably one that everybody cares about from a first name basis standpoint. I know them. I know the people running the program. I have concerns with what's out there now. And I'm not shy about telling them how you can be more inclusive in your next iteration opportunity to fix that contract. It's doing what it's doing now. It could do more for others at some future point. Deal?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, and then we'll bounce back.
Sir, thanks for coming. Doug Thompson, Granite State Manufacturing. First, a comment.
Thank you.
Love the LRAF. When you put it out, please put it out as an Excel file. Some do, some don't. It's
All
way easier to
of
work
mine
with.
are Excel
The
spreadsheets.
NAVCs aren't.
Oh, NAVC's a little special. Everybody's
anyway,
moving to that new template, which is a
Great.
Excel
Great.
spreadsheet.
Much
So
easier.
it should religion should be hitting everybody by now.
So we do most of our work for the Navy and business, very good. But we do only about 10% of it directly for the Navy,
Okay.
and about 90% of it as a subcontractor.
Check.
And the main reason we do that more than anything else is it's easier for us to work with the primes because they're more able to work with milestone payments and cash flow issues that small businesses usually face. And we find it very difficult to work directly with the Navy on that issue. And I'm curious why.
Are you saying we don't pay on time?
No.
Okay.
as
All right.
you
Because
go
I was,
along.
I was
No,
going to
no,
come
no,
down.
not
I
at all,
was coming
not
off
at
the
all.
stage.
I'm
Okay.
saying as programs go along in the interim to do milestones and progress payments and things like that
Okay.
on managing cash flow, the primes are frankly, in our experience, excellent to work with on that. And so I'm curious why, I've never understood why small business participation is so focused on being measured as just as a prime, when to me, my advice to other small businesses is the opportunity is a sub.
Understood.
There's far more money and far more opportunity. So I guess my question is why you measure it that way.
So that's not a DOD thing. That is a small business administration thing. And when it comes to accounting, you don't want to count beans twice. So you only count the beans that you're priming. And then that subcontractor, let's say some large company, they actually have negotiated small business goals with the Small Business Administration also. So they're trying to achieve those through their end. So whatever they sub, you know, they get credit for. I can't get credit for someone who's 2 levels down in the food chain because I can't control that. I didn't pick the sub. And I may not have wanted to pick that woman-owned business. I may have wanted to pick that service-disabled veteran-owned business. So we don't get credit at the second tier and below level. And it's just an accounting drill for people who wear green eye shades. That's the only reason that, and I mean, here's another one. OTAs, the other transactional authorities, they're non-FAR-based contracts. 0 credit for non-FAR-based contracts. Admiral Selby puts out over $1 billion a year to small businesses in OTAs that I get no credit for. I don't care because I'm not asking for credit, but when it comes to people who count beans, they're not counting his beans. And most of his work in the OTA arena goes to small businesses. So $1 billion right there. I would blow the top off. My green would be so rich colored green if I could capture some of the money that we don't count. And it's just because green out sheet people don't count it. Not my thing. I would, so here's another travesty of the situation. NAVC, right? NAVC puts out aircraft carriers, ships, submarines. Aircraft carrier, 14 billion, 15 billion a copy. That's in the denominator for my budget, an aircraft carrier. So you're probably asking, so why aren't you spending more of a percentage of your money on small businesses? I got an aircraft carrier built into that $70 billion, $80 billion total budget. How many small businesses want to build an aircraft carrier as a prime? You can't compete, but that's in the denominator for the budget that I have. So it's not fair, but that's the way they've always counted it. That's the way they always will count it. So I shouldn't have aircraft carriers in that budget counting against me if I was a metric-based person. The Air Force, they don't build carriers, but you'll see their percentage is a bigger number because they don't have capital ships in their denominator like we do. So if we're buying a bunch of ships, my denominator is huge, and my small business contribution suffers because of that from a percentage standpoint. But subcontracting, accountants, hurt some accountants. Deal? Not fair, I get it. Small Business Administration, contact them, write a letter, congressman, something like that, I don't know. Sir.
Director, first off, thanks for your obvious passion for your mission.
Thank you.
I am Joe Devine with Axiotropa, a cybersecurity consulting firm helping small businesses in the DIB on their CMMC journey.
Okay, excellent.
And I'm wondering if, we see a lot of these companies that are getting education support, training support, and how to go about doing this, but it's really in the implementation that takes a lot of the costs. I'm wondering if there's any current programs or future plans to help, provide funding support to these small businesses to get them through their CMMC journey.
One of the things that I would highly recommend to you would be that mentor protege program. align yourself with a large industry partner who does, level 5 is their requirement. And they could they're teaching their folks, their companies, their divisions, how to be CMMC compliant. Why wouldn't they be teaching you? So we could actually pay for you to get support from that large industry prime to get your CMMC certifications. That's free money, and that's probably the best one that I have. That's an instant return on the investment that you're asking for. You don't have to flip that cost. I will cover those costs for you. And it can be anything. I mean, I saw Raytheon actually has a mentor-protege agreement with Tampa Brass. And I went down to visit Tampa Brass to figure out how well is Raytheon treating you under that mentor-protege agreement. Modular furniture from a Raytheon office was being delivered to Tampa Brass because everybody at Tampa Brass had the principal's desk in their office. So they moved that. I mean, we funded that opportunity to help that company become that more viable entity, make the employees feel good about coming to work. So it can be CMMC, it can be anything you need to be that entity you want to be. So, and contact me, please. I have a mentor protege program manager. She is more than enthusiastic to get my fair share out of the system. She's encouraged highly to do better. Okay? Yeah. All right, one more.
Ron V. Naval.
Sir, how are you?
I am doing well, thank you.
Hey, you guys throwing
Ron
money
V.
up here
Naval
at me?
Embassy Warfare Center.
I can't take, somebody's throwing money at me. I can't take money. I mean, it's a dime. I'll put it in my pocket.
That's another coin we can have. So, quick
under the
question
limit.
for you. I've seen a number of briefs where they talk about the reduction, the number of small businesses out there. Your number's about 1,000, something like that.
Yep.
I've seen other ones in other briefs too. Is there any assessment to determine, are those businesses really gone? Or have they been acquired by other larger organizations? Because we're seeing a proliferation of acquisitions happening by, I'll just say the primes and the bigs,
Right.
buying up the smalls, particularly as they get, as the smalls get a number of valuable SBIRs and stuff like that. So I'm kind of curious, do you have any insight? Are the businesses really going away? Like, hey, I don't want to do business with the government, or are they being bought out by the bigs? Over.
A
Thank
lot
you.
are being bought out. A lot are being bought out. But we watched that contract leave from being a small business contract to being rolled over to a larger industry partner contract. So that work went away from the small business family, and that's what we're tracking. It's a little difficult when companies truly go away because there's nobody to call and no one's answering the phone. But we watch the acquisitions also. But when you have programs when you have contracts that get transferred to other entities, that's a clear indication that, hey, and it's good on the small business. Maybe that was their goal, sell the company once you reach a certain dollar threshold, we can go all live off on an island somewhere, and cash out. But we're watching the impact from the price standpoint. Now I got to go deal with that larger industry partner, and the wrap rate for that larger industry partner is a whole lot different than it is from that smaller. And now I'm not getting as much capability out. So that thing that I was buying for $1 is now costing me more, and it's the same thing because it rolls. So you're now pressurizing the budget in many cases. The boomerang hits the budget is really what happens in some of these cases with our larger industry partners acquiring. So, but we're tracking it, but being able to hit it off before it happens, I'm just watching. I'm just watching. Okay, that's it for me. I'm getting the hook, folks.
Thanks.
Oh, Roger that. Roger that. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
Okay, a quick couple of shout outs and we'll wrap this up for this year. First to Molly and her staff for pulling this together. 20th anniversary, and there's folks here that were associated with us, SENEDIA, when it was just a little tighter focus than it is now. Look what it is today, the regional aspect and beyond the region, reaching out. It's pretty impressive, and she's got a very tight, very efficient staff that pulled us off super successfully this week, so thank you again. And then to our Marriott staff, not only from the food service and the facilities, but the IT today, flawless execution. And that's a wrap. We'll see you next year, same time, same place, August 28th through August 30th. Thank you for your time and attention.